Hey, I'm Kitt Adams,
And I'm old mate Nate.
and you're listening to The Late Show on IPL Radio. All right, and now we're back on The Late Show with Kitt Adams and old mate Nate. We've got a special guest, Sammi Constantine, joining us via Zoom. How you doing, Sammi?
I'm good. How are you guys going? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, great. How you doing, Nate?
I'm doing all right.
So this is an interview that Nate has managed to line up for us because you two have connected through social media. So, Nate, how did you know Sammi?
I have been following Sammi for quite some time now, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think
it's been
I was
a long
I was
time.
I was with you, like following you when you released stuff like Small.
Maybe we should let Sammi tell the people a little bit about the start of her career and
Yeah.
Small that you've just mentioned. Give us a little bit of your background, Sammi.
Gosh, I thought I'd buried Small. That was my first EP. That was like back in 2015. So in my mind, it doesn't exist. But we do have people like Nate that have been listening since that time. So it's a part of the journey, and I can't deny that it was part of the journey. But it just feels like
Many
a
moons
totally
ago.
different project for me. Many moons ago, yeah, I feel like an old lady at this point in regards to releasing music. So yeah, I kind of started with an EP, didn't know what I was doing, just kind of threw it out there and hoped for the best. And a few people were like, "Hey, you can sing," and I was like, "Love that for me. Maybe I'll keep going," and I did.
Beautiful.
You can probably hear my dog in the background. I'm really sorry about that.
No, you're all right. It gives it a real, genuine, authentic feel. It really helps people relate. So pre-Small, being one of your first EPs, what was your inspiration that made you want to become a singer in the first place?
Well, this is a pretty crazy story. I'll try and summarize it for you. Nate probably knows this one, but it sounds dark, but this is like common knowledge, and I'm really open about like talking about the journey and my mental health struggles. But to kind of summarize, basically, I was a dancer and someone's ringing my doorbell. I was a dancer, and then I actually ended up getting unwell with an eating disorder, and it kind of ended me up in hospital, which basically meant that I had to stop dancing. And eventually I kind of found a new passion, which ended up being writing and music and guitar and all sorts. Somebody is ringing my doorbell.
Timing.
Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry.
No, you're all right. Yeah, right. I was just getting Nate to recap on some of your career while you were just answering the doorbell there, Sammi. But sorry, you were just telling us about your inspiration that got you into singing was you were unable to dance and started looking at other options of creativity.
Yeah, pretty much. And it just ended up being writing. And then I kind of taught myself how to play guitar. And then it kind of just went from there. I started sort of just really falling in love with writing. And I always kept a diary. So it was sort of like, it was kind of already a thing that I did, but I never thought to put, words to melodies. And then it just kind of went from there. And then, like we kind of started this interview with, I put out that EP, which was, kind of like one of those, I'm just going to write and see what happens. But I honestly didn't know what I was writing about at the time. I ended up like sort of predicting like a lot of my future in a relationship that I was in through my writing, which was really interesting.
Right.
But anyway, so it's funny how your subconscious knows what's going on before you do. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, so.
And what was the first thing that you sort of released to the public and first bit of art you sort of put out there along that sort of line?
Other than Small?
Was there anything sort of before Small that sort of really gave you the inspiration that you had some talent and you should run with it?
I mean, I did like singing lessons before I like sort of, really got into music, and I was in musicals, and it was kind of around already, but I never thought that it could be like a career or something that I could make money from or something that I would really fall in love with. So I was putting covers out on YouTube and things like that, and, testing the waters, but.
Getting a good response?
I mean, kind of. The internet was different back then, but.
Yeah, right. And is it hard to get discovered? Because I know that we sort of, everybody has social media now and everybody has the ability to upload their art form to some platform. But there's obviously a lot more of it now. So even though it's easier to access, do you feel you sort of get lost in a sea of people trying to get recognized?
So I'm pretty sure Sammy has some lyrics about that. And which song is it?
It's probably Wannabe. I know I'm a
Yes,
drop
that's
in
the
the
one.
ocean.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
another girl on the internet hoping. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah. It is. It's really hard. It's really saturated. It's funny. It's kind of like, it's 50-50, right? Because, back when the Beatles were a thing, it's like the internet didn't exist, right? So, the
Yeah.
only way to get discovered was a more opportunity with like live music. And now there's so many opportunities to be discovered, but with that comes saturation and just like the amount
A
of
lot
people
more
trying to do
competition.
it, right? So it's a lot more competition. And although it shouldn't feel like competition because everybody deserves a space and a place, it's just kind of hard to you have to kind of keep leveling up even on yourself to be noticed, which can be exhausting. So
Yeah.
that's the struggle, I suppose.
And sort of what stage are you at now? Like you're obviously releasing singles and stuff, but are you still looking for a manager, looking for an agent and stuff like that, or is that something that you've moved past those steps?
I wouldn't say I've moved past it because I think there's like different stages of, like adding people to your team. And I've had
Yeah.
teams before, I've had and, and I've had different kinds of things, and people come and go, and that moment I'm sort of open to anything, and willing to listen, but I am completely independent, so self-managed, independent. And there's ups and downs. Obviously the big up is creative control, but the down is you're by yourself and you don't have maybe as much potential financial opportunities without
Yeah.
a
You don't
label.
have the big publicity machines behind you pushing your name out there and stuff, I suppose, that some artists do.
Exactly. And we're all
So what was the name of this recent single name?
Swim, I believe. Is that correct?
correct. Yes.
Swim. So, being a professional singer, I'm sure you sing a lot and you have a lot of songs sort of in your catalogue. How hard is it to sort of narrow it down to one that you want to push with and actually make a single out of and give it that sort of extra attention?
That's hard. I think at the moment, like it used to just be like whatever was ready first, but these days for me, it's whatever I'm like connected to the most. I think like I write a lot. I write, a lot of songs a week, and it's just kind of like the one that like has the most meaning and the one that I think everybody else needs to hear and, like learn something from, or I need to remind myself of the message or something. That's the one I choose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
got some sort of personal, emotional investment for you before you choose to move forward with a single.
Totally.
Yeah. And do you ever write a song that sometimes people might connect with more than you expect them to, or maybe they don't appreciate the message as much as you were hoping they would? Or
I
does
think a
any of
lot
your
of times.
songs ever catch you by surprise in that way?
Totally. I think so. I mean, Roses was definitely one that that's like a duo. It's kind of a slow ballad that me and my partner put out. Roses kind of like took off way more than I expected because I didn't really I kind of just put it out with no thought, and it ended up being like one of my highest stream songs. But there's
Right.
other songs that I feel haven't quite got their recognition, or the lyrics have kind of gone over people's heads, and that's frustrating, but it's just the price of, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, just put your artwork out there and sort of just leave yourself vulnerable, and you just got to take whatever may come, I suppose.
Exactly.
I was going to say, you've obviously, when you were younger, you would not be able to foresee the success you've had. You must have worked with some pretty amazing people. Is there anyone in particular that stood out to you?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh my gosh. I've worked with some very cool people. I've had the opportunity to work with Ariana Grande's producer, Tommy Brown, Warren Campbell, who you need to Google because he's done a lot.
I know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, far out. I've worked with someone who my mind is blanking on his name. I believe it's Rob. He worked with Kylie Minogue on one of her hit singles.
Right.
Opportunities. But like everybody is so different and everybody brings like such a different energy to a room. And I think I couldn't pick one because every experience has been so different. Like,
The one that stands out to me, one that stands out to me as someone who's followed your career is when you were touring all around Australia with Rita Ora for a Phoenix tour. And I was so disappointed because the one time you came to Perth, I wasn't in Perth.
I know that was such a shame. And it's so expensive to tour. So it's like, yeah, I don't know when the next time I'll be in Perth is, but yeah, that was amazing. That tour was obviously, career changing and life changing. It was hard work and it was really last minute, to be honest.
How do you come across an opportunity like that? Is that something you applied for yourself, or a manager put your name forward for it, or?
Yeah, that was actually a funny one. I basically my mum's friend's cousin or something was the promoter, and like a year before this I emailed him. I was like, hey, I exist, basically, like, if you ever have any things, let me know. And he was like, cool, I'll keep an eye. And he did. And then a year later my booking agent pitched me for the Rita Ora tour slot, and basically the promoter recognized my name from that email I sent a year before, and he was
Yeah,
like, oh,
right.
let's give Sammy a go. So yeah, it was kind of a bit of a bit of a team effort. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's cool. Sometimes it's more about who you know instead of what you know. So,
So just really quickly to sum up, tell us a bit about Swim and your inspiration behind that, and then we can play that live on air.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, I guess Swim at its core for me is a love song, which is weird because I don't write many love songs. But it's kind of meant to be a little bit more about that kind of fight or flight before you really sort of let yourself go into a relationship. I feel like often I'm sort of like the hurricane versus the calm. I'm the storm before the calm, and I think I just wanted to kind of portray that it's not all romanticized, but like there are speed humps, but when you find that one and that person, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like coming out of the water and breathing again. And yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted it to feel like, and hopefully I portrayed that well.
but just quickly before you do go, where is the best place for people to sort of follow everything that's going on in Sammi Constantine's world?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. You can pretty much find me anywhere. Obviously, following on Spotify is like great because that's where all my music is. But if you want to check out what I'm doing in my day to day, Instagram is probably the best, and it's just Sammi Sammi Constantine everywhere. Sammi Constantine.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, we wish you all the best with your career, and we look forward to potentially more interviews with you in the future as you release more singles and potentially albums, and maybe even want to come and talk about some tour dates with us. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time,
you so
Sam.
much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. And now we will go to Sammy's track, Swim.